Welcome back to RLTW Strategies. What I have in store for you on this video is a few trades. I spent the morning recovering the losses on my 3 XFAs. I have traded a practice account just to get in the flow and building the confidence slowly in my head so I could look at the trades objectively instead of trying to recover my losses. I'm just looking for setups, going in and out. Be able to find the timestamps in the bottom of the timeline so you could jump to those trades. I talk about what I see on different instruments. Everything you'll see is in the video. Follow the timestamps and let's get to it. Welcome back to RLTW Strategies. It is Monday, May 4th, and I'm not going to say it because everyone's going to say it and you're probably going to get tired of it. So let's go ahead and get into the market. As you can see, we are in a range from last night. A lot has happened last night. We kind of stayed in this upper end range here. This is a trend line on a hourly, I believe. I drew that on the hourly. A lot of these levels are from the hourly and daily. I will zoom out in a second. We had reports that Iran was struck a U.S. naval ship. Stocks, the markets dropped, everything dropped, and well, that didn't really, I guess it was a warning shot. It didn't hit a U.S. ship, so we recovered. Could have been a quick pullback before a higher move. That was almost 260 points, 258. Then we bounced back up. Let's see, I didn't even pay attention to see what the 50% area was. So 50% area is about 3/4 down below this box. As you can see, it's on the same level as a daily level. So we're bouncing on this range right here. Zooming out on the hourly, this is what I'm looking at on what I see. So I don't think we're gonna come down here to, what's the white? Let's see what the white is. I think it's gonna be last week's low. All right. Settlement's blue. Green is volume point of control. All right, volume point of control. That's all up here. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna come down there. But that's where I started levels. I have a couple trend lines. I got this trend line going off of those candle wicks right here. Let me zoom in. Coming from these candle wicks right here. I could extend it down here, but that's pretty much a level. And then we have this one right here. I drew from April 30th on Thursday. We had a touch point there and we broke it there. So I'm seeing this, I'm waiting to see if we retest this trend line. There's the all-time high right there. We go ahead and put all-time high and then go from there. I have a yellow line up here at 28,000. That's an area where I believe we could touch. And then just this consolidation right here. We got a top of the range, bottom of the range. And if you want me to point that out a little more, this is the range right here. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. On the daily, we got an indecisive red candle with a larger bottom wick on the bottom. So what does this mean? Well, we had one here and we had one here and we had a gap up all day. Roughly 300 points there, roughly 450 points there, almost 400 points there. So if you look at the daily, right? What could possibly happen? Well, we could potentially kick back up, right? Like that's potential. So I readjusted the daily trend line. That's in blue. What's that one from? That one's from way back when. That's from the low. All right, so we'll go ahead and figure this thing out. All right, so the goal is if we break this orange trend line, well, we might be testing this area down here. Okay, that's something that may happen. All this is may type stuff, depending on institutional buyers and sellers. But if this is our daily, we could stay like that all day, right? But tomorrow we could have a day like this. It's quite possible if we resort to past behaviors. Past behaviors in the market are not guaranteed, but it kind of follows behavior. So come back on the 5-minute, nothing really changed on the 5-minute. As you know, I have a 5-minute already on my TradingView account over here. And I watched the 5-minute. Here's that range I kind of drew on the other screen. Here's another trend line similar to the other one on the other screen. It's just something I could look at on the 1 minute compared to the 5 minute. All right, so let's go ahead and do a count overview. So I'm in a practice count right now. All right, so last night during GLOBEX session, I conducted a trade. It was one trade. There's my trade win percentage, profit factor. We got to get those back up. We can't lose these accounts. There's my loss day. Remember, I was up around 700 or 800 on Friday afternoon, and I ended up losing that, and then plus the 2,500, but times that by 3, and that's why my loss was like $9,800. So we are slowly going to build it back. So here we are. First week was a banger of a week. I was up like 39,000, but we can't talk like that anymore. So let's just slowly build it up. So in the meantime, I had a couple decisions. I either trade these individually so I don't blow them all, or I just get my head back in the game. And this was a bunch of trades during GLOBEX. I did 12 trades, all winners, semi-short bias, one long bias. And so yeah, it's a practice account. So I could go in with size. It's still, the practice accounts with Topstep, they still have the 3,000, like this one I think is $6,000. I haven't traded 150K in a long time, so I think the max loss is 6,000 or maybe 4. But anyways, I'm going to treat this 150K like my 100K. So what I wanted to do was trade this account the way I have the funded account, which I only have $800 in there, not counting the 200 I made last night. So every trade we conduct this morning, I kind of want to keep it under $800 to see if I'm able to make these other accounts survive by trading minis. So let's not have 3 contracts. So that's the goal, to see if I could consistently turn my accounts up. Now, if we end up moving because of news, or there's a direct momentum trend going in a direction, I will switch over to the XFAs and trade those if I could just get on an A+ setup. But the practice account is something I'm going to have on the screen majority of the time. So we'll see how that goes going forward. All right, market's going to open in a minute. We're on the minute. Let's get our box ready for the 1 minute opening range, and we'll go from there. Let's get the volume back up and top step levels. Let's refresh. It's going to probably get rid of that box. Nope, it's there. All right, 30 seconds. Market will open. And good luck. Let's make these accounts survive. All right, market is open. Got a large selling candle, volume candle. We still have indecisiveness. We're at the top of this range. We might fill this gap. We did fill a gap over here, I believe. I saw a gap somewhere. And I do see a trend already that we could draw out, right? Again, my trends on the 1 minute are just for quick scalps or rejections or areas of rejections. I am watching a 5 minute on the other screen. All right, 1 minute opening range is done. Let's draw that in. We're breaking the bottom of that opening range. I want to look at news. I want to know why. Might be filling up, coming down to touch these bottoms. Here we are at the top step level. Settlement right here, point of control right here. Again, on the 5 minute, we are in the middle of this triangle. So I'm not really, and we're in the middle of this zone right here. So probably not a good area to go into position. We do have large selling candles here, but is that a solid move down, or is that liquidity? I mean, we could try it. I really don't want to try it until we break that. We got Palantir reporting at the end of the day. I want to see a defined rejection at a level. So all the levels on this chart are from a larger time frame, so they might be significant. Like we could reject up here, we could reject down there, we could bounce, we could test this area. We have an intermediate trend line right here, just on the 1 minute. But these larger moves are the ones I should pay attention to. Those would be more of the A+ setups. VWAP is flat right now on both. The ES is kind of pointed down. Oil is dropping Oil is dropping, we're down at 102, so not really something to be happy about. We are testing the bottom of that opening range. We could reject up here. We did bounce here again. All right, so if we come down to retest this level and we break through it, that's a pretty good indication that this level cannot hold any longer. There's that 1 minute trend line. We're still in the middle of the range. No point in trading. We have a brand new candle, so. Oh, and then news. We have something. We have factory orders at 10, and then New York Fed President Williams is speaking at 12:50. We are testing the bottom of the settlement and 1 minute opening range. All right, we're above the VWAP, still in the middle of that range. That was a good bounce. Almost 50 points. And we got pre-market high up here at the all-time high. Pre-market high, and then we have a pre-market low down here. All right, pre-market high at the all-time high, pre-market low right down there. The 50% area of that range is right there at the blue line. So that's what we're going to pay attention to. 50% range from the pre-market high and pre-market low, and we're right in the middle of that. If you end up deciding to short now, you got a 50% chance it's going to go one way, or 50% chance it's going to go the other way. Here's that retest. Could possibly be a good short. Still undecided on the 5 minute. 5 minutes still undecided. All right, the selling volume seems to be getting lower, so we might see a reversal right here. That's on the 1 minute. Oil is at the bottom of the range at 102. There's settlement. Do we take this move up? There's a quick candle on the 1 minute. So is that hit buyers or shorts? Oh, we might be going up. Let's test it. All right, that seems like a good trade.
Order filled.
All right, so we just gotta find those same setups in the funded account. That's what we gotta find. Now we're coming back to the top of this trend line. We're at the top of the 1 minute opening range. We could bounce, or that could trap people. Look at that. That trade. That was the trade. We just got resistance at 27,880. And we're in the middle of the 1 minute opening range. So the ideal setup would be to go long if we get a bounce off of the 1 minute opening range, or short the rejection at 27,880. And we got factory orders in 15 minutes. So whatever move happens prior to that data release could be an inverse move at the release. So it's kind of something to be cognizant of. We're going, here's that trend line. We're touching it on both the 5 minute and on the 1 minute chart. So what's price going to do at this level? We got volume, buy volume, kind of, I can't really tell if it's growing buy volume. I know we're moving up, but how substantial is that move, or how well is that move going to hold? And then we have a level right here, so we could bust through it and then bounce on this level right here. That's a possibility. Everything's kind of going up. I mean, we just went above the VWAP on the ES. Oil is below the VWAP, and we're above the VWAP on the NASDAQ on the 5 minute, and we're breaking that trend. So do we reject here? I got a level here. That's on the hourly. We could reject up here. We could reject hard off this orange line, which that orange line is, let's see what that orange line is. That is yesterday's high and then week's high. So the red's the week's high, and rejected pretty hard. Are we bouncing here? That could have been a liquidity pull and then a retest of this trend line to move up to this area up here. That, that might be the play. Let's see if it plays out. Remember, we're risking $800 on here. I'm looking at this bounce off the 1 minute opening range as a substantial area of support. Once we get close to this yellow line, I'll move a stop in. I just think there's enough momentum to push this up. And I have a tendency to buy the tops and the bottoms of the ranges. So that is also a possibility. All right, I did what I was gonna say I was gonna do. If we got to this line, this yellow line, I was gonna move my stop up. So we walked away on that trade with 125. That's pretty decent. Again, we got factory orders at 10, and I'm glad I got out. And that's the rejection off of that yellow. So that rejection, that's why I wanted to move the stop, is I didn't want to feel that drawdown, but I didn't put a stop in. All right, we're coming back down to settlement, and what's the green one again? I'm gonna be doing this all day. Green one is yesterday's point of control. We bounced off the point of control. We're coming back up to retest the 1 minute opening range. We could reject up here, or that was just a liquidity pull, but I always get cold about this time. Now we're coming back up to the top of that range. We're retesting that trend line again. ES is above the VWAP. We're above the VWAP. We're retesting the top of that 1 minute opening range. We rejected again up here. That's another rejection on that trend line. Probably waiting for factory orders. Trying to hold this level. That was a good rejection off the trend line. Coming down the VWAP, retesting VWAP, retesting the point of control and settlement. There's a battle up here, right on top of that range, right on top of the 1 minute opening range. We're 5 minutes away from factory orders. Not gonna touch it for 5 minutes. Oof, look at that pullback. Or is that a liquidity pull? That was a move fast. I gotta go switch over to news. That could have been a liquidity pull. I believe that was a liquidity pull. It looks like it on the 5 minute. Oh, not gonna trade until the factory orders. I almost did a trade. ES is popping. Look how much it stopped moving. What's gonna happen? I mean, we could pop up all the way to all-time high. We got a pivot point up there at 27,989 after factory orders. 5 minute looks strong to the upside. We're 30 seconds away from factory orders. Oil is dropping. We're on the top of the opening range. 1 minute opening range. There's a trend line we're about to retest again, possibly breakout. All right, factory orders is released. 1.5% forecasted 6. Then we got some 9:30, 9, 10, 10:30. 10:30 we got these yields, bond bills, monthly bill. Fed Williams speaks, Trump Small Business Summit, and Palantir earnings. All right, we got to remember we're on the express funded account. It's large volume candle, large red volume candle. Are we rejecting from yesterday's value area high? The rest of the Mag 7's kind of coming down, pointed down. Again, pre-market high is up here, and we have a level here we got to test, and we have this level if we ever get up that high. 1 minute opening range. I could do another trend line, but nah. I'll do it on the 5 minute with the 5 minute trend line. Another thing, we can look at the hour. All right, that's what the hour looks like. We're at the top of the range, could be a short in this area above the orange line. We could short above the orange line, but if we get above the orange line, we could retest pre-market high, which is the all-time high. So those two scenarios can play out. This could be a shoulder. We could be building a shoulder in this area right here. We could build a shoulder in this area because we have this and then go down. But that's on the hourly. And it's Monday. I mean, everything's kind of dropping. Man, I want a short.
Filled.
I was going to do it with the XFA. If we break this area, I'm moving the stop. Just trying to give it room. There we go. 120. Now, why can't I do that right now on my XFA? Because I lost so much on the XFA on Friday. My mindset on that is it's not worth it to chop it up in this range when we haven't even moved all morning. That's the mindset. It's 10 o'clock. If I didn't move the stop, I'd be in drawdown right now. But then again, if we move pretty hard, I'm in my XFA. I need to remember that. There's a pretty large red volume candle on the 5 minute. The Mag 7's all looks indecisive. Very, very indecisive on the Mag 7. Very 30-year yield. So if the 30-year bond yield drops, then NQ tends to rise. The 30-year bond yield and the NQ is one of the tightest macro correlations in the market. Oh wow, that's a good drop. Is that a liquidity pull and a retest? Let me look at the 5 minute. Could be a liquidity pull. Still in the middle of the range. A lot of movement. What was that drop? 50 points. Good Lord, that's a large red candle. Could we continue going down? Missed out. I called it. Missed out. Should have held on. I'm just too scared trading the XFAs. I don't want to lose them. And I should probably switch to micros. 232. Coming down the VWAP. Oil just spiked up. VWAP test. Bounce. Retested the 1 minute opening range before a drop. 30 minute looks bullish. Maybe. Could have been a liquidity pool. Glad I closed the position. Sometimes being scared works. I mean, that trade right there. It went down fast, but that's almost 50 points. Here we are. Bounced off of point of control again, and we're gonna go retest the highs. Breakout. Let's test my long bias.
Filled. Order filled.
Thought I was gonna stay above the yellow line. There we go. That was a liquidity pull right there. That is what you call a liquidity pull before a move up. And that's where I thought it was gonna go. Hey, we're broke this trend line. We could bounce off it. We're bouncing off here. Oil's dropping down. There's some news. We just don't know it yet. ES is at the top of the Bollinger Band. So is the NQ on the 5 minute. VIX is dropping. This could be a leg up. The 5 minute looks like it's a leg up. Look at that. We just need more volume. And we could keep on this trend line. We could come back down and do that all the way up. We could reject here too. That's from the sell-off from 05, 06 in the morning. We're on the top of the range. We're on top of that trend line. Could we be bouncing on the 1 minute? Same thing for the 5 minute. Right here. ES looks strong. We could bounce at the 1 minute opening range. Thing is, I don't have a bias today because I think the market could either go in either direction. I mean, every day the market could go in either direction. The goal is not being so concrete in your decision of one way or another. We are in a rejection area. One or two things I'm waiting for. ES to continue moving up. And the 30-year yield is dropping. We still are at the high end of the range. The VWAP is pointing up. Maybe we just buy the dips. Buy the dips, it's gonna be a positive day. Oil's coming down.
Filled.
See how much drawdown we take on this trade. I think if we break this candle wick at the bottom, that will be my invalidation. But then, do I hold on to it because we could bounce off that 1 minute opening range? We got the VWAP pointed up. We got oil dropping. This is a good play. This is a good setup. We could reject here. If we break this, I'm moving my stop in the profit. Just like that. It might stop me out. But, I think we're coming up here. Just the way I see everything. Oil's dropping. Oil's at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. The 30-year yield is dropping. And the 30-year yield is dropping. We could test that gap fill and go from there this afternoon. Microsoft's going up. We really haven't even moved today. I mean, we have. We moved a lot, right? We moved a lot from this morning and from open. If we go from this candle, that's from 9 o'clock. We go from the 1 minute opening range and the open, that's 100 points. It's 100 points. And we could test the area above the orange line, which was last night's, this morning's drop when we got news from Iran shooting at US vessels. ES is moving up. The VWAP is pointed hard. Well, it's pointed pretty strongly to the upside. I guess by the pullback. Now I'm starting to develop a bias on the day, a long bias, which I rarely develop that, which means if I go long, I'll probably lose my accounts. And today I should be the inverse of thinking. And then the more you trade, that's what happens. You think that every trade you go in is a loss. So just do the opposite of what you want to do. And that is a common thought that traders experience is since I've been losing consistently, I'll just do the reverse trade from what I think I see in the market. And that may work, but now you're consciously aware of it. So is your original thesis correct? You'll never know unless you test it out. We are holding this area for now. Microsoft, man. Microsoft is at 1.4%. All right, are we retesting the bottom of this trend line? Are we retesting this trend line? Or are we just retesting this trend line? Nvidia just dropped almost $1. All right, we're broken the bottom of that trend. Are we gonna be able to hold it? Is this a liquidity pool? Is this a buy the dip? I don't think, that 1 minute candle is pretty red. ES is screaming.
Order filled. Order filled.
Going. ES reached, yeah, we're coming up here. ES has reached the gap from the drop last night, or from 0.6. This drop on the ES has touched it already. Oil is moving. ES is still moving up. There we go, we're kicking. Oil seems to be rejecting. We're coming back to retest this high up here from pre-market. And we rejecting, maybe. Amazon is screaming. Amazon is up 2.2%. We can retest this area. Depends how hard we break out above this orange line, bounce on it, and go up. We're on the top of that zone. This could be a good shorten zone. Breaking out. We filled that gap, that news report of Iran shooting missiles at a US naval ship, that drop, double top, 50 points for an all-time high. And we got this area to contend with. I mean, that's an area, man, we got all these areas right here. 5 minute looks strong. That was a bullish move. Oil hasn't really moved at all. Come and bounce there. I'm losing track of my hour levels. So I'm gonna have to go back to, I mean, that looks like a pretty good breakout on the 5 minute. Oil's moving back up. We're going up here. We're testing it. All right, so what's the thesis at this point in time? Well, I think we're clearing these stops and then we're coming back down. So we may come up to 28,000. That's something that's a possibility. We're only 60 points away. We could go all the way up there and then drop. That's if I want to be contrarian, but I can enter now, but I'll blow my account if we come back down to here or here. I'm not willing to risk that, but clearly we're moving up to here, unless that's a good rejection right there. 27,951. This area could be a rejection area. 10 points away from it. Oil's moving up. That was a liquidity pool. We're coming close to the top of the hour. A lot of volatility could come into the market at the top of the hour, especially at 11 o'clock. London closes at 11:30. There's going to be a huge spike up. That's what I feel like is going to happen. We're getting close to those stops. There may be stops up here in between 28,000 and we are above the 1 hour opening range. Here's the first hour. Here's the second hour. I mean, looking at the time frames, we're bullish, right? But, all right, so the 5 minute could be a 3-bar reversal at the top of the hour, right here. If this candle closes below this body of green candle, it could be a 3-bar reversal. But momentum seems to be moving up. Amazon up $7. 1 minute, a minute and a half left on this 5 minute candle. I mean, the ES has been strong. All right, there we go. Let's go. Is this a liquidity pull or a drop? Oh, we're just getting close to the top of the hour. Unless they want to trap longs in the top of the hour and then come down. 22 seconds left. Could be a 3-bar reversal. Nope, didn't happen. 3-bar reversal did not happen. We are in this congestion. right about this area. We're taking out stops before we drop. That is my assessment. Yep, there's a drop. Is that a liquidity pull? 5 minutes before the top of the hour. Missile threats.
Filled. Order filled.
Look at that pump up.
Filled. Filled.
All right, I'm not trading my XFA anymore. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm going to do on the XFA, because I'm not going to chance it losing those accounts. I'm not going to do it. All right, so check it out. Friday was the verge of blowing my accounts, and I had to walk away. I couldn't take the pain anymore, so we got to slowly build these accounts back up. I'll do everything I can to kind of save them. That's a good day. That was a Friday, all right? I mean, I know I could trade. I know I get trapped when I don't use stops and I over leverage, and that's the result of it right there. But this is the result of just going in, going out, hitting base hits, small sizes. And if I continue that, then we could continue to salvage our accounts. Now, the practice account I'm gonna have fun with. That thing is good. As you can see, I am hitting 100, all right? And apparently I have an infinite amount of profit factor. So we're gonna keep trading. We're gonna keep going down this journey. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, follow my X, and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy, and I will catch you on the flip side. Have a good one.